Hello everybody and welcome back to this fascinating build of the Antonov 2 made out of balsa. So I've done the previous chapter was all about building the stabilizer and the elevator that just fell off. So I have to glue it back on or stick it back on. What I've done now, apart from going down to the shop and getting a lot more wood, so I got 1mm, it's all millimeters here, no inches I'm afraid, I don't know those yet. 1.5mm, 10mm and 2mm. I had to decide what kind of gauges or what kind of width of balsa I'm going to use. So I've decided that I'm going to use for the, what are these called, the basic stringers, I'm going to go with 2.5mm. Then for the fuselage formers I'm going to go with 2mm, and the reason for that is that the outside is going to be planked, so I need to have some space where to glue that plank on. I was thinking of going with 1.5, I think it would be strong enough, but then I don't have where to glue the plank on, so it's going to be 2mm for the formers, and then the planking itself outside is going to be 1mm as shown here. The 1.5mm I'll be using probably for the wing ribs and for maybe some parts also. So the first step, what I'm doing, I'm using my tactic of masking tape. So I take some masking tape, I put some plastic over the plan, I put the masking tape over the plastic, and then I trace the shape of the piece that I need. These are the two basic stringers that are going to be on this view, is going to be here. If I move you further back without dropping you, they're going to be here, that one basic stringer and another basic stringer. So I'm going to put them down there, and then I'm going to have to build up the formers gradually and the top part of the former. So this is, for example, former E, that's going to be a wing bearing one. So I believe, yes, so basically I'm going to have to build up those formers gradually and build it up. The plan is to build the top part of the fuselage, not plank it yet, because in there I'm going to have to start to put in the electronics and the servos, and that I still have to somehow figure out how it's going to go. So the first part is going to be more about the structure and figuring out where that those electronics are going to be. Okay, so follow me along on that one, and let's see how it goes. Now I'm going to cut some 2.5mm, I think I said 2.5mm basic stringers. So let's go with an update, because this is going quite slowly because I'm taking my time with this. I don't have much time. So far what you can see up here are the frames, the fuselage frames for the upper half. So this one is N, M, L, K, J and H, so it's going backwards, and I have here on the board I just put the glue in for frame E. The next one will be then for B, which is this one that you can only just see. And then I'm already getting into the engine compartment, so I still have to ask you a question probably about that. Each piece is made up of 3 pieces typically, yes, except the last one. But now the next challenge is to build this one. This is form G, and there's another one also form D that you can't see. Here I saw somewhere in the instructions that it requires 3mm ply, because onto this is where the wings are going to be glued on. So that's going to be the challenge. First challenge, I don't have 3mm ply, I have 1mm ply, so I'll probably be making 3 of each and then gluing them together, so actually making more plywood out of plywood. So that is going to be the challenge. Plywood is always hard to work with, but I think it's needed. It's going to be needed because the whole weight of the wings and the fuselage on the wings is going to be held by these 2 pieces. So, and then also for the lower wing I think it's going to be on these 2. So that's going to be then the next step. Start to work with the ply, and gradually I might be able to start to assemble things. Once I have more of the formers built up, I might be able to start to assemble things and try to do the mock-up. And here are the pieces all prepared, all the frames, the built made up of 3 pieces as I mentioned before. I've laid down already what these are called the main spars, or the basic stringers they're called. Those are laid down, and now I have to get them all to fit in and also put on the top stringer and make sure that it all fits. If it were laser cut it would be easy, because it's hand cut it's probably going to need some adjustment. So let me get to it and I'll show you then the result now. And here is the whole assembly built up. You see the frames there from frame B, I think this is E. It's somehow complicated because it goes up and down, so all the way down to M, and N goes here, so I haven't put that one in because that's above that, but it's not glue. I've just made sure that it somehow gets together and that this is somehow straight, following that straight line. You can't see from here, but I can. If I look at it, it's straight. It looks easier than it actually is. This is not laser cut two pieces, so it's not as easy. So now the next step is to take it apart, glue on the pieces that are made of plywood, that wherever I have to go, I think, which is here on E and on H, I believe that is, and then glue it all together again. So step by step. So first of all, as I say, take it apart, glue those pieces, and start to put the pieces in. So I think it'll look good. And I think I'm going to wrap up this chapter slowly because I'm a little bit stuck. I'll show you the progress, what I've done. I've created here a little contraption, a little box to put the servos in. The servos are not glued in yet, but at some point then of course I'll glue them in. And I wanted to do it so that I could put the push rods to know at least where they're going to go. So this will be the push rod for the elevator, and I've used actually the same rod actually to put the one for the rudder. What I've done, made holes, like drilled little holes through the formers, so that like that there's a bit more sturdiness, right? Because we know that if we just use the servo and to the control surface, then it might not, it might buckle actually, it might, and then there's less movement. So I'm hoping that these two holes for the elevator and one for the rudder, that they're enough to hold it in place. And my worry, what I'm stuck now, is that the next step is actually to start the planking, which I think is going to be fun. I need probably to sand a little bit here at the edges, but the planking is going to be fun, a big part. But my fear is that once I close this off, it's going to be much more difficult to get into it if I need to. And what I want to do first, I think at least I want to do first, is to figure out the rudder, well, the fin and the rudder, to see how those are going to go. I don't know if you can see it if I pick you up a little bit. Let's see if I pick you up there, maybe. So here we see that the rudder is actually completely up here in the air, and so I've got to figure that out. So I might put that together next and then try to sit it on top and see what it's going to look like. And then the other part that I'm also worried about is then going to be then the canopy part. I want to make the canopy as also the battery hatch, so I need to figure out how to build up that part, plank what is needed, and then make the canopy, which according to the instructions is to be done with wire, soldering wire, and I'm very bad at it, so I have no idea. And it's a very complex canopy. It's really very complex. It goes outside, it goes beyond, let's say, the fuselage, so that the pilots have visibility looking down and things like that. So it's really quite a complex canopy. So I think I'll probably go with the tail fin. Seems a little bit easier, less challenging than the canopy. And in any case, thank you everybody for watching and for following along on this one, and I'll see you next time.